I probably had like 800 trades in one day.
Tariq Jeffrey.
He is someone who trades stocks every single day, and he's making tons of trades called micro-scalping.
Instead of aiming for that one good entry, we're really working the price action. Being that I'm from this Caribbean household, you can only imagine the chaos of like, what? You're gonna leave school to do this thing that nobody heard of? What really inspired me and encouraged me to do it is that I had a great aunt and a great uncle. They had the house, they had the car, somewhat living the American dream.
Yep.
And I always knew that I wanted more.
Wow, this number really blows my mind. Over 75% of you who watch the show regularly are not subscribed. If you enjoy the show and want to support us, the easiest and also free way is just to hit that subscribe button. This will help us find new and better guests, and I promise you to continue to work at making this show better and bringing you more value. Welcome back, everybody, to Be the Trader. Today is going to be a great day because I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona, with my man Tariq here from Relentless Trading. And let me tell you something, we're about to dive into his story because he is someone who trades stocks every single day, and he's making tons of trades called micro-scalping. So did I get that correct, micro-scalping?
Yeah, micro-scalping, hyper-scalping.
Hyper-scalping, there's so many names for it. And so Tariq, welcome to the show, brother.
Glad to be here, bro.
What kind of handshake is this? Nah, we're gonna do that again.
That's how they do it in China, man.
Oh, did they really? Okay, so tell us, man, how did you even find this world?
You know, it's pretty interesting because coming up, how I was raised, the family I was in, we had no idea what the stock market was, what it was all about. The closest thing we had to it was maybe seeing those small charts on like CNN, NBC, and not knowing what in the world the stock market really is. But there was a day that my sibling, my older brother, he's actually here in Phoenix with us. He is the more entrepreneurial of us two. And he's like, hey, I found a video with a guy saying he made $10,000 in one day. And I'm like, $10,000 in one day?
Right.
This is like impossible unless you're like.
How old were you right now?
Maybe 17.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's like, unless you're a high-level doctor, dentist, or maybe you own a business of some sort, there's no way anybody's making $10,000 in a day. So one thing led to another. We started watching videos. I believe it was Tim Sykes or Ross that he saw made a 10 grand. And it led to this wormhole of us like exploring and discovering. And before you know it, we open up a Robinhood account. We deposit $2K of our savings. Like we were like broke college kids and stuff.
What year?
About 2017, maybe 2018. We opened up a Robinhood account, and I never forget the ticker symbol was stock MOSY, which I think at this point is like delisted. But
I remember that ticker.
Now I have the experience to know what the trade was. So the stock actually gotten halted up, resumed higher, and kept going. And so at the time, we jumped in at the open, thinking we had a strategy. We didn't really know what we were doing, but we just jumped in, and the stock halted up. In fact, we were panicking like, what's going on? Nothing's happening for 5-6 minutes.
Yeah.
It resumes, it goes higher. We made 1,600. And I remember he's the one executing the trade. We're on the phone and I'm on the bus going to college, going to school, classes. So it's like before I get to class, like 1,600. And the way how we're doing everything was like we're splitting everything down the middle. So it's like, I don't know, like technically I made $800 here.
Yep.
And it's like, wow, I think that's what really blew my mind to get me into trading in the first place. Because maybe if it was a losing trade, I would have probably thought, man, like we just lost 2K in 5 minutes. This is a scam. I should never look into something like this.
So true.
So by the grace of God, that was a winning trade. And that's what really opened up this universe of trading. And so really and truly, one thing led to another, and you start to build, grow, and the rest was history.
But let's talk about that history. So
yeah,
you have a winning trade that gets you started, which is always great because you're right. If you didn't have that winning trade, it could have put you on a different path.
Right.
What I'm curious about is what happens right afterwards. Like, are you thinking to yourself like, okay, why am I going to college? Like, what's your mindset happening right then?
Yeah, that's a great question because after some time, I started to swing more towards wanting to be a part of the market and wanting to be a trader. And a lot of that came from this concept of, hey, and it's preached in the Caribbean household, right? I'm Guyanese, I'm from South America. We consider ourselves a part of the Caribbean. It's like go to school, get a good job, and then make money. Like do something that pays, so as a man you can support your family, support a household, that kind of thing. And so I was going to school, and at Rutgers University in New Jersey, the statistic was 97% of students graduating in accounting would receive a job in the first 3 months. So I'm like, okay, accounting, 80K a year,
Yep.
that's the career, that's the major I'm gonna go for. That way I can graduate and start helping out the family, right? We're like really struggling, like just single mother, all the stereotypes that you've ever heard of, that's what it is, like coming from the absolute slums. So, you know, that though didn't really resonate with me. I just felt like I was just doing something because I was told.
You may have noticed that there are not a lot of sponsors on our show. That's because I don't believe in advertising for someone I don't believe in. And I'm very proud that Cobra Trading is the sponsor of Be the Trader. I use them every single day. And Forbes Advisor recently did an exhaustive research on day trading brokers, and Cobra Trading was the only broker awarded in 2 categories. One was, you guessed it, customer service. If you've ever experienced an issue with your broker and couldn't find good customer service, that won't happen when you go with Cobra. Sign up now using the link below, and Cobra will give you 100 days of free commission, 3 months of free software, and 33% off commission for life. I know you'll enjoy trading with Cobra just like I do every single day. Let's get back to the show.
And so with the market, there was like a passion, a desire. And so one thing led to another, and I remember I was in a business class actually, and I have charts on my laptop. And this is when I really knew that, like, okay, I think I'm gonna have to pull the trigger and make the switch. And it took me 3 months. It wasn't a decision I made right away, because it's like this life-changing thing. Like, what if I do leave school and try to trade and it doesn't work? And there's risk, right? There's risk in everything. But what really inspired me and encouraged me to do it is that I had a great aunt and a great uncle. They had the house, they had the car, somewhat living the American dream.
Yep.
And I always knew that I wanted more. And so that's what really gave me the courage to say, you know what, man, despite having a 3.7 GPA, which is the equivalent of like straight A's at Rutgers University, I'm going to leave to trade in a simulator. And so being that I'm from this Caribbean household, you know, they're strict about school. My siblings are like straight A's. You can only imagine the chaos of like, what? You're going to leave school to do this thing that nobody heard of? I mean, you know, I had to like be transparent about it, because I decided to just drop out essentially. You know, there's people who even said, hey, before you leave school, go to your
freshman, sophomore, junior, what were you?
Junior, basically almost at the end of the line. And it's like, hey, go to the counselor to make sure you can like retain the credits you have to this point, so that if you do want to come back. But in my mind, there was no coming back. There was just going forward. And so I just pulled the trigger, man, and I started trading in a simulator. This is about maybe 2019 now. Okay. So like a 1 year of like dabbling in Robinhood and kind of getting my feet wet. 2019 kind of just, you know, downloaded E-Trade Pro. Shout out to E-Trade Pro. That's, I think, one of the better platforms back in the days. And started, you know, trading below the PDT. So 3-day trades every 5 business days. And, you know, I had no idea what a cash account was, simulator. So I spent 1 year trading 3 trades every 5 days. And honestly, I wish I knew about the simulator or cash account, because the experience could have been so much more in that time, you know? So, but anyhow, everything's for a reason, they say. And so I went through the ropes of, you know.
So you started off first in cash account. I mean, not cash account, just a regular account.
Regular account.
Not simulator, because maybe you just slipped. I just understood correctly. Earlier, you said you went simulator, you left school to go to simulation. I guess what you meant was you went to an account first.
Right.
Gotcha.
That's what I meant to say. Yeah,
no worries.
That's a good catch. So ended up doing that, and what happened was I hit the PDT restriction.
Yeah.
My account froze up for 90 days. And
they forgive you though, right? And the first time that happens, they forgive you or no?
Yeah, so I got forgiven, and like the next, like 2 days later, basically, I messed up again. So that's how I like figured out about the simulator, because like, man, I'm trying to trade. I don't want to like sit here just watching, you know, and that's good, but you still want to get the hands-on experience.
I know what you mean.
So I ended up then switching to the simulator, and that's when I realized, like, man, like I could learn at a faster pace. You know, back then commissions trading was still a thing, and you know, you're going through the motions. I watch a lot of content on YouTube, any free content I could get from all various different types of traders. I was reading like articles on trading in the fundamentals of the candlesticks and trying to get good with the fundamentals.
Did you
stuff.
immediately go to like micro-scalp, like hyper scalping, or was that the first thing you started thinking about, or just curious?
Yeah, that's like the first thing I came across. So like, you know, after seeing the big video of the 10K, you know, like you search them on YouTube, different traders, you know, Warrior Trading kind of came up. So I saw like a couple of recaps from him. And it's like, you know, this style of holding, trying to take 10 trades a day, maybe get the best type of setups. And so, you know, trading in the simulator, I actually was able to become green gross after maybe about another 7-8 months of practicing. So
7-8 months of simulation?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So
I love that you shared that, man. Only say that because so many new traders, I was one of them. I didn't go to simulation. I wanted to fight it, but that's a smart move. So
yeah, so at this point, I'm basically about a year, 6 months, 7 months in. And what ends up happening, I believe it was October 2019 or 2020? No, 2019. October 2019, right? They put out this rule, or I think maybe because of Robinhood, I forget exactly what it was called, but they basically went to zero commissions. And so it was essentially, well, I don't need to try to work past commissions now because now I'm green. And so, you know, the free commissions that allowed me to trade more. So I'm gonna double down on what I was doing, because there was a lot of trades where, despite like getting to being green gross, where I felt like I'm in the green, stock maybe goes up. Let's paint a picture. Stock at $5, my profit target $5.50. I'm in at $5, it goes up to $5.20, but I'm not looking to sell because I'm expecting the bigger move based off of what the chart is telling me. But a lot of times though, it would come down, stop me out $4.90, and then go make the move. So it's like, why don't I take this money when I'm up every single time? If I'm up 15 cents, 5 cents, 20 cents, but I expect this 50-cent move, why don't I take it and then get back in when it's appropriate, either on a dip or maybe at the same price point, and then continue that same trade process, the same trade idea. And that's how the strategy kind of came alive, of this hyper scalping, micro scalping style. And I mean, we just started going crazy. Like, instead of like 10, 15 trades a day, it became like 50 trades a day. Honestly, I probably had like 800 trades in one day. Like, that's like my max on days where stocks just kept going and going from open all the way to close. So, you know, a lot of that is how I was able to really, you know, leave school, find the courage to leave school. And
so you were still in school during that simulation process?
So I ended up dropping out cold turkey. And this is a part of the story I might have missed, but when I left, it's like, okay, this is now my new school. This is now my new thing. And so if I was going to be serious in school to get straight A's, and I now have a passion for this thing, at that time I was doing like 10 hours a day, 9:30 to then 5:30, take a break, come back another 4 hours, rewatching, you know, recordings, going over charts, watching other people, seeing what they did. And that's how, you know, one thing led to another, and we started to, you know, again, as mentioned, become more consistent over the time.
Do you think it was very important for you to browse all different types of people on YouTube and read all types of books to kind of like come up to your own way of trading?
I think that if you're somewhat coming in and you're lost, it's something that you'll do because you don't know where to look or where to go. But anytime you come into the space and you're comfortable with someone, you're transparent, honestly, there is nowhere else that you need to go, right? Whether they stumble upon you, me, or somebody else, and that individual is transparent and showing them the way and having that blueprint. I think sometimes it could be a little noisy when you look in too many different places.
Sure.
But if you have the treasure map right in front of you, you know, some people like to say like maybe their personality might not suit, but if you like to make money and there's something that's working, well, my personality is gonna turn right into what that is, because it's working in a place where they say 9 out of 10 people are failing. So for me, it's like, hey, once you come across someone transparent and they're doing well, then, you know, that's kind of all you really need.
So it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it took about two years for you to start to really get things going?
Yeah, so I'd say like 2 years, like 2.5 years is what I really say, because I think in like October of 2019 is where, like after the commissions went to zero, is where I really became profitable.
Yep.
but I still had to save up and try to get money to go over PDT. And so I went live in May 1st of 2020. And to dive into a little bit about how I saved up,
Yeah.
I didn't really save up. I only had 2K of my own money, like 2,500.
Yeah.
But I borrowed from a sibling, or I borrowed from two siblings, and one of those siblings borrowed from a bank. So he did credit card arbitrage. I also did some credit card arbitrage on a card that I had. And so I went live with 27,500, of which 25,000 of it was borrowed money.
Yep.
But I felt very confident because I was performing in the sim. And so my max loss though was 2,500, as in not in one day, but
just
if I'm to lose 2,500 overall, this account is done. I'm going to return that backstop money. That way I don't have any debt, and I'll study again and try again. But took it slow in the beginning, $50 a day from May 1st, 2020, all the way till October. I had a nice stretch where I made 16,000 over those couple of months.
Yep.
And October was really my first drawdown. And when we do get into the computer stuff, we'll show. But that was my first red month. I think down like 3,500, maybe 3K.
Yeah.
You know, of course, or 4K. But at the time, pretty devastating, of course. And it wasn't up until February of the next year where I was able to recover.
This is the beginning of you switching with all the borrowed money too.
Yeah, yeah.
So that had to be tough.
So, trust me. So I'm starting in the negatives here.
Right.
And I finally get things to pick up around February of the next year. So it's now 2021. We go through the year. It's a decent year. I make back the money to pay back the loans. But my sibling, he's also trading. And we're like, you know what? Instead of returning this loan, let's use this money to fund his account, because he's also been practicing.
Yep.
And we're going to have two guys making money in the same house. And we're going to be free forever. That was the plan. But my sibling, he got in after, despite all the good training and us working together, completely blew up, man. And so that 25K. So if you're someone in this position, maybe the best thing is to return the loan, because that 25K went to the absolute zero. And so the interest, so with credit card arbitrage, we had like a year before it was starting to like accumulate interest. So now after like a year in, I couldn't pay back the loan, and it's accumulating interest. So now it's like my back is like, I'm doing well, but like the pressure is really on now.
Yeah.
So, you know, because we still have our daily lives. We're still living with a single mother. We're still, you know, trying to help out where we can. And it's like, man, this is like a huge hindrance in the progression here. But knowing that I'm doing well, and that we could keep pushing forward, that's all the confidence I needed to just say, you know what, I'm going to stick to course. And so over the year of 2022, finally making back that money and then paying off the loan. And that was like where a weight was lifted off my shoulders. And coming into the new year, 2023, you know, paying off the loan and making maybe an extra 20K that year. So I have now like 20K savings.
Yep.
Which, for where I'm coming from, the community that I'm in, like for anybody, you know, to have 20K in savings is like a big deal.
Huge. Yep, I hear you.
So going from there, and then now having the confidence of knowing that I'm a little bit more free. In 2023, I was able to put a little bit more size. And, you know, I think no matter how great I continue to do in the future, for me, that'll be maybe my best year, because, you know, that, and I'm actually getting like a little emotional here, which is crazy, but that year is what I think like really separated me into the next like stratosphere.
Nice.
Because it was rough, man. And being able to pull away like that is what really, you know, I would say like saved my family, man. And so you see these tears right here. These are tears of joy. You know, don't feel like, because I wouldn't even call them tears. You know, like Andrew Tate said, water is just coming out of my eyes. But it's the emotion and the passion of knowing, you know, where I came from and also where I'm gonna go. You know, so it's been a journey, man, and where we are today is just the beginning. We're still gonna continue to push forward and really dominate the markets, man. That's what it is.
I love that you share that, man.
Yeah.
And it just shows you've been through a lot, and it's tough. I mean, trading is not easy, man. And so I love that you shared a lot about your story. I'm gonna hit on a couple of these things. Number one, you and your brother are both doing well in simulation.
Yeah.
And then he ends up not doing so well when he goes to real. Could you share the experiences to why, like, I don't know if y'all talked about it in private or if you're open to sharing, like, some of the struggles that made it harder for him in that moment?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to be honest, like throughout most of it, like us practicing in these things, like he was the better trader. I mean, honestly, I think 2020, he was able to make over $1 million in the sim, trading the right way,
Okay, gotcha.
doing all the correct things. Like, it wasn't like there'll be traders who go into the simulator where maybe they take massive size on like
Right,
and they end up winning or
yeah.
something. Like it was nothing like that. It wasn't
It
no
was
like
like
luck
very
or
strategic and
it was
stuff, yeah.
strategic. Just day in, 2K a day, 3K a day, like him crushing the game. And then I think one of the bigger issues he had was going live and being too aggressive too soon. And so he would go over PDT, kind of come back down. I'd give him back like another 2, 3K to get back above the level. And it was like that type of cycle before he then had a bigger loss, really. But, I think for him, like stepping up to the plate and not being able to like overcome maybe got to him a little bit.
Yes.
And like that extra emotion maybe is what really caused him to
that.
like not trade as well as he should have been able to, and like maybe a normal red day kind of becomes more because it's like, oh man, I feel like I should have been able to do this,
Yep.
And so what could be like a 1K loss, which is fine, it becomes maybe a 3, 4K loss, and then it's like into the depths from there. So I think maybe that's what some of his struggles were. And so,
Did you
again,
not face that?
for me, I think the thing that really saved me the most was knowing that I needed to go slow because of all the extra like risk that I had with the loans. So I'm also maybe like collecting 25K, maybe, I don't want to say like taking it for granted per se, but maybe that influenced it in a way, right? But for me, it was, I'm just going to go slow because if I go past this 25K, 2,500 max loss, that's basically it, So much as if I like blow up and drop below that level. So, but yeah, like it's a crazy story, man.
Take me back to the time, if you could paint a picture of when that day was, if you have this day where just one day where you're like,
Got a lot of those
I
days.
was like yelling at God, pissed off. I made the wrong decision. I was so emotional. I was so depressed at that moment. Did you ever have a moment like that?
Yes, man. I think it was May of 2020. This is when I was still in the simulator. So I had a moment in the simulator where I essentially blew up my account. Now my simulator account was set to the PDT 25K.
Yep.
But I think I lost like 5K or something like that. And it was from this. In fact, there's a bit of a story. It's funny because my brother, the one, he came over. We live in separate places, right? I'm in New Jersey, he's in New York. He comes over. It's a Friday. We both traded well. And then the day was essentially done. Momentum is dried up. And he is like, hey, it's a good time to shut it down. I'm like, yeah, I agree. And what did I do? I go back. And I ended that day red like 300. And it wasn't a big deal, but something like triggered, man. When I knew I should have left and I didn't. And him also telling me I should leave and I didn't. So I think that Monday was then now a new month. And it's my first time setting a monthly goal. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go in and I'm going to dominate. I'm going to do well. So I think those two factors. I end the day red and I had a pace for like maybe 300-400 a day or something. And I'm below pace. And I kind of fall back. It's like that thing that triggered me kind of triggered again. And I stayed on that Monday and I was down like 1K. And then Tuesday, I'm like, okay, the easiest way for me to get back to my goal is to size up, which is the worst thing I could have done because then I'm in and it's crazy because I'm in trades where I'm making like 500 and not taking it because I'm aiming for 1K day.
Yep.
And it's like before a $400, $500 trade would have been amazing.
Yep.
So,
but now it's not.
I end the day red like another 1K and then another 1K. And then Thursday it felt like something was eating away at my psyche because it's like I know what I should not be doing, but I'm still doing it anyways. And it's like, if I can't figure this out, I have no business being here. That day, I remember going into the backyard. Again, I wasn't crying, but water coming out my eyes. And it's like, bro, I'm sitting there asking myself, like, who am I? And why can't I just say enough is enough? And that was the day I think I really became profitable because I made a vow to myself that I'll never lose against myself. I could lose in the world on the outside, but not to me. I'm gonna slay the demons inside,
Yep.
and I'm gonna come out on top. And so that after that day, there was like a lot of clarity. Came back in, finally like accepted that the market is bigger than me, and this is an ocean that I cannot consume. I cannot drink all the water. I cannot swim across. Gotta pace myself, go slow, and respect the story that it's telling me. And so from then on, I gained a new level of discipline,
Right.
and things became much more controlled and smooth. And even to this point today, I've never had a terrible day of trading since that day. Have there been days where I might have ended red or
Sure.
could have traded better, or maybe because of the multitude of things that we have to remember in real time, I maybe overlooked something and maybe, that led to a losing trade. Yeah, but I never to that day had a blow up moment or anything close to that at all. So that was like a huge, and now that I think about it, people ask me like if I had an aha moment.
Yeah.
Maybe that was what it was. I always like to say it was gradual, but yeah.
It's interesting that, you go to the backyard and start visualizing, like, who am I, like, what am I doing? Like, most people, that's the biggest challenge right there, just overcoming their own demons. Because
Yeah.
trading, once you find out a certain strategy, once you develop something that works, like your brother, or even people I know, the execution, whenever it comes to, executing it,
Yeah.
can be very challenging depending on what's in the back of your mind there and who you're fighting.
Yeah. And so, I mean, even like in this moment, like it just brings me back to that day. And like if water comes out of my eyes because of excitement of the chance to go back into the arena, like it's almost like we're gladiators, man. And like I just want to fight. Like I'll be fighting till I die, man. Like it's just tomorrow again, like another freaking day to just be able to get the chance to be my best self. That's what it's all about. It's like, how could you be a better version of yourself over and over? And no matter how challenging it is, like you knowing what you could do, like you just freaking climb. Like it's crazy.
Tell people, how can you describe your style of trading? Could you kind of give us a visual example, just so people know more in detail, like how you actually trade?
Yeah, it's I like to call it like a more rapid fire. I used to play Call of Duty, right, as a big time Call of Duty player. It's a first person shooter for those of you who may not know.
Yep.
But there's approaches where you're like, maybe you have a sniper, you're more laid back, one shot, one kill, 5 good shots, you wipe out your target, whatever. I'm more infantry. I'm gonna come in with an extended clip, maybe a big Scar H rifle with like 50 bullets.
Yeah.
And I'm going down to hunt down the enemy face to face. I'm not the sniper that's up top.
Yep.
1 to 5, 10 good trades. I'm looking to come and I'm going head on like Rambo style. So, we're looking at a lot of the same patterns most traders look at. Let's utilize the bull flag for example. It's pretty famous, well known. But instead of aiming for that one good entry, we're really working the price action. So again, to paint a picture, if a stock is at $2, maybe room to 3, we're looking at how well can we, scalp, how well can we scalp the price, the movements, right? So let's say it goes from 2 to 212 and then back down to 204. I'm in at 2 out at 11, back in at 04.
How do you gauge that?
So we gauge that utilizing, first the chart is always important, right? It brings the pattern. And then we utilize level 2, the active trader ladder. That's where we can see where buyers and sellers are coming in real time via the bid and the ask. And that really, once you're able to figure out level 2, it's essentially being able to read the future to a degree, not 100% because nothing is, but understanding how buyers and sellers are coming in and where the imbalance is. If it is to the buy side, that will more than likely give us the capitulation for the uptrending move, and we can capture a couple of cents or more. Sometimes in one trade we can make $1 a share, 50 cents. Some of my bigger trades are closer to like 10,000, and Bigger losers are like a little bit more rare, but if I get caught into like a halt down, trying to buy close to a halt down level, and that's where the stock gets halted for 5 minutes, frozen by the exchange, you can get caught into the halt down if you buy too close if it's still coming, and then sometimes they resume and gap down lower. That's my biggest red day, really, like actually 5K. But for the amount of times where we're getting the upside move and we're seeing buyers coming in on the level 2,
it's worth the risk.
It is.
What's like
risk.
For that style of trading? Are you looking at, what would be a win percentage you would say?
Around anywhere between like 45 and 60%.
Okay.
Myself, I'm around 49%, 48.
Yep.
You have some of the guys here in the team house who are around 55, some around 50, some also around 47, 46. But anything around that range, and honestly, for what we do, the higher the accuracy, the better it is, because then you're connecting more and more.
So would you say, because you're taking so many frequency of trades, you're playing out your day? It might take me a month to finish a week of your trades. So like you're playing out a whole month of work in one day. So therefore, you end up mostly green every day. Like I'm just curious.
For myself personally, out of every 10 days, 7 of those days I'm ending green. It's crazy because some of the guys here it's like 8 or 9 even out of every 10 days. So we're still fairly accurate day over day.
Yep.
Because again, we're taking a lot of trades, but there's still a criteria that needs to be met. We're only going to trade stocks with good volume, that are up and obvious. We don't want to trade things that are too dominated by algorithms. Although some of the guys, they'll be able to pull it off, maybe on like Tesla, Nvidia, some of these stocks, they'll trade the price action. But if it's too light in volume, we have no business trading it, because then it's just no extra.
So get that criteria real quick.
Yeah.
What is the criteria, if you can just list it real quick?
High percentage gainers, high volume. There's also something called float, or shares outstanding, for the public to trade. Usually when it's a little lower, we find that stocks can be a little bit more active. We don't want to trade something that's just sideways. There's no volatility. We really and truly capitalize off of volatility. And so when there's 100 million shares of volume and only 10 million shares available to the public, again, it's called a stock exchange. We're exchanging shares like crazy. We've seen stocks go over 1 billion shares of volume multiple times in the small cap land. And so that's kind of really the criteria, just higher percentage gains. A lot of the times we'll come into market open. We primarily trade some pre-market, but mostly 9:30 and onwards, market open. The stocks are already up 150% and high volume. So you might say, well, what's the point of wasting time trading a stock up 150%?
Right.
But all we need, honestly, we don't even need the stock to go up. If there's a good range, sometimes even if it's trending down and giving good bounces, but if we do see a small uptrend, let's say an additional 10%, sometimes that's all we need, because we also utilize massive share size.
So speaking on that, before we start to wrap this up, I'm very curious, what kind of person has, like, what kind of risk appetite? Because part of me, from my experience, it's like when you're trading low float stocks that are moving with high volume, that has high rotation, sometimes those jerkbacks or pops, whether you're short, just against you, or long, can be dramatic. So it can wipe out like 10 trades that you just took, so like, how do you handle what kind of person do you have to be to trade this way, to be able to either avoid those? Like, can you avoid them? Is that avoidable? And then if you can't, how do you handle that?
So not every trade is going to be avoidable. There are some, we like to call it a flush, where, to paint a picture, stock is at 5, flushes down 4 or 450. There's no real way to avoid all of them, but a lot of the times, going back to the pattern in the chart, if it's bullish, a lot of that fundamentals will help us out in determining if we should be getting in a certain zone. We don't want to become too price action fixated, because then we get tunnel visioned. But in terms of like how you can handle the risk, I think it's all about understanding the strategy and picking your spots. Despite being infantry, it doesn't mean, like, there's a good show called Restripo on army related stuff on Netflix, where the guy, he's so used to being in a war that he's shooting his gun without ducking. The guy is telling him, his teammates, shoot and then duck. He's just, so despite being infantry, we don't want to just run into the open.
Yeah.
We want to make sure we still move in a system and be coordinated and still, utilize our reference, which is like the charts, like our command center,
The levels.
almost like Yeah, like if there's an eagle in the sky telling you, hey, like the enemy's on that side, well, let's respect that. Let's not just still go in a weird way where we can be vulnerable, you know? So I like the army analogy, so
Yeah.
I like be using those a ton, but we still want to utilize our charts, all of our indicators, still want to make sure we're following the criteria for our stock to trade and not just go off rail, because then we're more vulnerable.
Do you feel like that is a difficulty for most people who try this style of like getting focused on like just, you said you don't want to get lost in just the price action itself. You want to make sure you're aware of the picture.
Yeah, something I've noticed is that a lot of people who play video games, whether younger or older,
Yep.
sometimes, I don't know if it gives them more of an edge, maybe like the hand-eye coordination, reaction time, but I think it's something that you can train to do, regardless of who you are, because I've always been an advocate that no matter who you are, where you come from, you can learn anything. So even if you're more laid back and chilled, if you step up to this task and you understand what's required of you, I think you could still be able to get it done. It's not going to be easy, but possible.
Yep. Well, look, my man, I know people are going to have tons of questions and they're going to want to learn more about you.
Yeah.
So could you take a moment and let people know where they can find out more about you?
Yeah, definitely. As you guys can see on my shirt here, you know, I'm Relentless Trader. You guys can search that on any platform and you'll find me.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Tariq. I appreciate you being here today, brother.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for finishing today's episode. If you're watching on YouTube, please leave a comment below of one of the takeaways that you are going to implement into your own trading. And if you happen to be listening on a podcast platform, go ahead and leave us a review and let us know what you enjoy about today's episode, because that does go a long way in helping us continue to grow. Again, thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.